It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is What Made the Cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Trajan Wealth brings you this portion of the program, TRAJANwealth.com. That's Trajan Wealth for all your trusted local needs in retirement. Jay Stevens joining us on the program. Jay, what's going on, man?
Gentlemen, just glad to be here, ready to talk about some hockey, and just got back from Vegas. Enjoying the weekend early, I guess you could say.
Oh, yeah.
Sweet.
Let me ask you this, Jay. The mustache, of course, is a signature calling card for you. And part of that's the the firefighting background on top of the hockey. I don't know if it's a playoff situation for you. Do you have any bets going on with any of your Canadian friends about Team USA and Canada and shaving the mustache? Is that part of the thing that's on the line here at any point for you?
You know, it hasn't come up yet. It would depend on what my Canadian friends were willing to put on the table. The crazy thing is, I would shave this and I could have it back in like 6 weeks. So it's
if you're looking, you can watch Jay, by the way, live here on our stream, and it is an aggressive mustache right now. It is, but you've got the Team USA hockey hat on as well.
Yes.
First round, they get the W, and it was, you got to get your skates under you for a minute, and it took a little bit for Team USA. Team Canada showed no such, having to ease into it with anything in their first round matchup. They look like the dominant Canadians that they usually are. Thoughts so far on this one, and who are the teams to watch in this thing besides Team USA and Team Canada?
Well, there's been a couple surprises, but we'll start with what was happening with Team USA. And Latvia, for whatever, I don't know how they pull it off every year, but Latvia is always that team that manages to steal a win. It's usually Canada. We've seen that before with them, that especially in World Juniors, Latvia just has Canada's number for some reason. So, you could say U.S. struggled a little bit or whatever in the first period. Remember, we had 2 goals called back for Team USA, which those weren't. That's the rules. That's how it goes. But I thought the U.S. kind of showed a little bit of rust at the beginning and then started dominating. Goaltending is going to be awesome for the U.S. And that's a question for Canada, because they're really not sure on Jordan Bennington and if he's going to really be their number one guy. But they're going to ride him just like the U.S. is going to ride Hellebuck, and 2 proven goaltenders going forward for both countries. And Canada's power play looks super dangerous. And, that Macklin Celebrini is just everything everybody's thought he was going to be. And he's already showing that he could be the league MVP this year. And it's just been fun to watch that part, watching Canada just be so dominant. I think the U.S. is going to be also dominant. I think it's like 63% believe Canada is going to win it, and then the rest is that U.S. is going to win it. And you're going to have somebody. Everybody thought Sweden would be the other key, but Sweden took a loss. They lost to Finland, which is that's their rival, and that was a pretty big loss for them. So I thought Sweden would be the sneaky team. Keep an eye on Latvia. See if Czechia can't get something going. That's kind of the other team that should be good NHL wise.
Looking at what the Americans did in that first game against Latvia, I thought it was interesting that you'd expect the big name. You expect Austin Matthews to score a goal, and he did in the third period. Brady Tkachuk got in on the scoring. Tage Thompson's a great player. They get 2 goals from Brock Nelson. What does that say about the depth of this United States hockey team?
Well, it's exactly what they thought it was going to be. And the reason a guy like Brock Nelson is in the lineup and is on the team instead of even having Keller in the lineup, or, everybody wanted Jason Roberts from Dallas, is Brock Nelson is a gritty player, and he'll go to the front and pay the price. Not that the other guys won't, but he's just got more experience at it. And you saw he was in the right place at the right time and got some blue collar goals. And that's what the U.S. is banking on, is that they're going to be a blue collar team. At times it's going to look pretty. At times it's going to look like the Harlem Globetrotters, which is what a lot of people are comparing the Canadian power play to. You're going to see a lot of those pretty passes, but when it comes right down to it, those gritty games, USA, Canada, it's going to be battles in the corner, battles in front of the net, and it's going to be some hardcore fun time hockey. And that's why the team's built this way. And you're going to see scoring from all four lines. And I expect we're going to see Keller pretty soon, but all four lines are going to be deep. They're always going to have a threat on the ice, and they're also going to have the physicality on the ice.
Jay, when you see these guys who hit the ice, I think everybody was so excited to see Clayton Keller, obviously named to Team USA, and then we see the reality of how competitive the Team USA is, because we saw a healthy scratch from Clayton Keller before. Are we going to see him hit the ice at some point? And why is it that, you make the team and yet at the same time you actually don't necessarily feel like it feels a little bit like the Olympic alternate type of a deal?
Yeah, it's absolutely insane to see a guy of Clayton Keller's pedigree, his history, his talent, to see a guy like that healthy scratched for no other reason than, they just have so much depth. And then you look at the roster and you're like, where would you put him in? Because typically he plays on the right side. So do you want to pull out Jack Hughes or, Tage Thompson? I would like to see them maybe take out JT Miller and see if Clayton can play on the left side. But it's tough for a guy like that that's been an all-star, that's always been the best in the every locker room he's ever been in. He's the best player. And then you come to the Olympics and you just see this, we talk about the spoils of the riches that the U.S. has and that Canada has this year too. It's nice to see the U.S. be so built. This is a product of a lot of hard work and effort on USA Hockey's part to have so much depth. It took 10, 15 years to build this type of roster. And if you look at the kids coming up, you're going to see that USA Hockey is going to be this good for a long time, where you can have a captain of an NHL team healthy scratched into the stands. But I do think we'll see Keller. I think they want to get an idea of what everybody can do on the ice. Tomorrow would be probably the best day as they take on Denmark. I don't see that being much of a challenge. They could get out and almost like have a good scrimmage and see how the other guys can do. Germany on Sunday is going to be a little bit of a challenge for the U.S. I don't think it's going to be much, but I'd expect the U.S. coaching staff will have their roster pretty much finished and figure out who's going to play where on Sunday. That'll give you a good idea of how the rest of the Olympics are going to go.
I know that there's a lot of Americans that are going to be really excited to follow and cheer for this women's hockey team that is just absolutely dominant right now. We talked about it earlier. They've only given up one goal so far in this entire tournament. What is it? Where do they rank, and how do you see that playing out with the women's team? Is there anybody outside of Canada that can challenge them in this tournament?
No, there really isn't. And just watching how they just dominated Canada, I don't know if you guys got to see that game. Mm-hmm. And it's so much fun to see, Utah resident Hillary Knight. I think this is her fourth Olympics. She's just a legend. 4 games played. She's already got 5 points. She's a +4. So which I guess they've only given up 1 goal in 4 games. I think the one was it was Latvia early.
Czechia.
And I don't think that one counted.
Yeah.
So in most of their games that count, they've got a 5-0 shutout, and then today was the 6-0. So it's just watching how dominant that the women are. And again, that just goes back to USA Hockey buying into this 10, 15 years ago, just saying this is how we're going to build. This is how we're going to make our team stronger. We're going to put the time, effort, and money. They've really developed, these small games that they play. I mean, USA Hockey from the age of 5 to 8 years old is trying to teach these kids to be Olympic athletes. And they've taken over coaching, and they've tried to give instruction from top to bottom so that every kid is growing up and has the potential, has the opportunity to reach their potential to be an Olympic athlete. So you can see what's going on right now with the U.S. women's hockey, which is what happened with soccer 10 years ago, right? Nobody could touch U.S. soccer before on the women's side. And I think it's going to be a while before anybody catches back up with what USA Hockey's done with women.
Over to the men's side of things, when you talk about Team USA and where that program has gotten, it seems to be in that back and forth conversation between them and Canada all the time. Is it just kind of I don't know how it works out with the preliminary rounds versus the quarterfinals, semifinals. I would imagine that those guys would find themselves matching up at the very least in the semifinals, but I think a finals matchup is one that people are looking forward to. What's the reality as to where Team USA and Team Canada match up at this moment right now in time with the two teams, their setups, and their rosters over in Italy?
I think Canada's got just a little bit of an edge just on the line one versus line one. You've just got some scoring that's going to – I think the physicality on the U.S. side can counter Canada's offense. I think that's what you're going to start seeing is you're going to see the Tkachuk brothers out against Connor McDavid. And give him credit. I was looking at the stat earlier. Connor McDavid, the most points scored by an NHL player in one Olympics coming into this Olympics was by Saku Koivu and Teemu Selanne. They each had 11 throughout the entire Olympics. And in 2 games, Connor McDavid already has 6 points. So granted, they haven't had great competition, but that's how the Olympics have always been. So just seeing what these guys are doing, that line one's going to be really good. You're going to see U.S. try to match that with physicality. And then the U.S. is going to have to go lines 2 and 3 to get scoring off of. And as I look at Team USA's second line, that's going to be Gensel, Matthews, and Boldy. That's a pretty good second line matchup. I think that's where you're going to see the like you were talking about before. You got scoring from – you got 2 goals from Brock Nelson on the fourth line. That's the kind of stuff that's going to have to happen for USA to beat Canada. Canada's clearly the favorite. U.S. is right there behind them. This will be, and I think if the 4 nations would have gone a little bit different, if goaltending would have gone a little bit more the U.S.'s way, I think coming into the Olympics, everybody would have put the U.S. at the top. But I think that 4 nations thing with Canada winning it and even, matching the physicality that the U.S. put out there, that's what gives them the favorite right now. I think it goes back to the miracle on ice. Everybody thinks somebody's going to win it, and the U.S. is going to come through and prove them wrong.
We're going to enjoy hockey at the Olympics, but at the same time, I think Mammoth fans are having a little bit of a Mammoth and NHL withdrawal. So I wanted to have a little bit of Mammoth talk today because we haven't talked to you since the break happened. And as the break happens, the Mammoth are in that top wildcard spot, 64 points. With 25 games left to go, what do the Mammoth have to do to protect that number 1 wildcard spot? Are they in a good position to do so?
I think they're absolutely in a good position to do so. I think we're going to see Logan Cooley added back to the lineup right after the Olympics, which is huge. You can't underestimate how important he is to Utah right now and Utah's future. But the one thing they need to do to protect the position they have is not act like they're protecting this position. You need to see them go out and play like they played on that last homestand where you were just getting contributions down the line. Everybody was playing at practices. Cole Bagley and I get to go and watch the practice. There's been real intense practices followed by intense laughter and a good time. And I think they're just right at that balance. And I know some parents and some other coaches are going to hate to hear me say this, but when the guys are having fun, they play a lot better. And John Cooper, who's supposed to be the best coach in the NHL, makes sure his team's always having fun. We were seeing that from the Mammoth. We were seeing more fun as they're winning, and winning is fun, right? But you're seeing more winning, you're seeing more fun, and then every once in a while, if you don't hit that exact mark, the bear comes right back down on you and reminds you that this is serious. Have fun with it, but every little detail counts from here on out. And I think as long as they keep playing that way, as long as the Mammoth have that same mentality, as we're not protecting something, we're chasing something else. They don't want to settle and go in that prevent defense like you see in football. You want to just see that aggressive offense, those guys having a good time and scoring a lot of those glorious goals that you're seeing.
I'm sure we'll get more of an idea when they come back from the break what they did during the break, the guys who are, on the team. But I would imagine that the practice facilities are filled up quite a bit with these guys. There's not a lot of time that they're taking off. In fact, I think the coach alluded to it. They're not taking time off. They are busting their butts. They're practicing. They'll probably get a day or 2 here or there, obviously. But this is a team that probably is likely just – I think the break coming at this time is a two-edged sword there because it could be, killing a little bit of momentum. You have to kind of get right back to where you were before. You're going to add Logan Cooley after the break. And so how does this team kind of maintain this while there's a handful of guys from the team that are out at the Olympics and playing for their teams, and then you have the guys here who are still trying to make sure that they're in shape and they're ready to go for the next part of the season?
Yeah, the main thing they're going to do, and I have seen some of the guys, and I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus, but, I follow all of them on Instagram or whatever. Some of them definitely took a minute to hit a beach here and there or take their families to Disneyland. And that's perfect for them, right? They need this little break. It's going to get some of the other guys that are banged up. I mean, you watch how Dursey plays, and you watch how many hard hits he takes and delivers. And same with McBain. Those guys play such a physical game. I just like to see them go to the beach for a few days and let all those wounds heal, because we need them to keep playing the way they've been playing for the Mammoth. It's fun to watch as a fan. Those guys are so much fun to watch right now. I think that's going to benefit Utah in the long run. I think it benefits, it's hard to say if it's going to benefit one NHL team more than the other. Colorado's got a lot of guys over there in the Olympics. And so hopefully that they stay tired. And even our guys that are over there aren't getting played. Veggie hasn't touched the ice yet. Keller hasn't touched the ice in a game yet. So maybe those guys come back a little more rested, and this works out perfectly for the Utah Mammoth. That's what I think is going to happen. You're going to see a healthier Mammoth team return to the ice, and they're going to be fired up and ready to go. And they're enjoying the success that they're having. So let's keep it going.
When the NHL gets back on the ice, the topic is going to be the trade deadline, because it's coming up on March 5th. How aggressive should the Mammoth be at this deadline?
Not aggressive at all. And I know a lot of people jump down my throat when I say that on the podcast and when I say it online. This is part of the plan. The plan was to get 7 points better every year, and they've done it every year for the last 4 or 5 years that Bear's been coaching this group. And they're exactly where they said they were going to be. And you can't get antsy and say, hey, I see this guy's available from Vancouver, or this guy's available from St. Louis. And, Utah has some real deep ties with St. Louis. But all those trades, I think, would cost too much of what they've taken so long to build. Because, if you're going to go after somebody that's going to take you deeper in the playoffs this year, you're going to have to give up a Ginla or, one of those players that somebody else is going to want for a long time. And I just don't see Utah doing that. I don't see any reason for them to panic and go out and get another player this year. The goal is to get all these guys playoff experience. They're right where they want to be. This is more than halfway through the season. So I know it's easy to get excited and play Game of Thrones and say, like, well, if this piece of the dice moves or this piece of the puzzle goes over here. I just think the Mammoth are built perfectly, and we've got all these young kids coming up that are having a hard time. Simashev's having a hard time breaking the lineup. And he's a phenomenal player. There's probably 20 other teams in the NHL. He'd be the third pair of D. So I think Utah's right where they want to be. I don't expect very much movement at the trade deadline.
Okay. Jay, real quick before we get out, I did want to ask about Veggie, because I know that Czechia got their butts handed to them in the first round, obviously, by Team Canada. And Veggie wasn't the guy. But then the very next morning, they went with I think what would be considered their third goalie, because it's a guy who's I don't even know who ended up playing, but I don't know what's Karl Vejmelka's situation at the Olympics, and why haven't they put him in yet? My heavens.
Yeah, I was really surprised that they left Dostal in for the entire shellacking that they were getting against Canada. I thought maybe they'd give him some reprieve after it got 5-0. Maybe give Veggie or give the other goalie the third period. I'm forgetting who their other goalie is all of a sudden. But I anticipate that we'll see Veggie. I mean, he's literally in the discussion for the Vezina for being one of the best goalies in the NHL this year, for what he's meant to his team. You would think a guy like that would get a game here pretty quick. So the next game for Czechia is on Sunday. They play Switzerland. I suspect you're going to see Veggie play that. It's kind of standard when the NHL guys are there to get all your goalies a game and see who the hot hand is at that time. It'll be hard to tell. I mean, Dostal's a great goaltender, and what he's done for the Ducks, everybody knows and respects. But I just think you're going to see Veggie on Sunday against Switzerland.
He's Jay Stevens, Utah Puck Reporters, where you can find his podcast and always get great insights from him. And we're, of course, looking forward to the rest of this Olympic tournament. I think we're all a little bit more in the mood for the rest of the NHL season, though. It's a nice little break, and it is a nice tournament. I mean, you watch all these guys, the talent that's put together, you go, man, this is amazing. But at the same time, we're selfish. We want to see the Mammoth back on the ice, and so can't wait for that. Jay, thanks for hanging out with us on a Friday. Have a good holiday weekend, and take her easy, man.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
There you go. Jay Stevens.